Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Os77 here, bringing you guys some TvZ action between none other than TvZ Mvp, the Red Terran, spawning near the 3 o'clock position on Antigua Shipyard, up against Roxkiss sLivko, the blue Zerg player from Russia, at the bottom left. So, MVP, the notorious Korean Terran, has won a total of 4 GSLs and had incredible success in a number of international tournaments. He's just an overall fantastic player, and he's always seen as a favorite in any tournament into which he's entered. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do have sLivko, a Russian Zerg who I casted a while ago in a ZvZ between himself and TSL Hyun, who is a very, very strong Zerg player that is just always coming up shy of his breakout tournament. So sLivko held his own against Hyun, even though the latter lives by Korean training routines. sLivko he lost 3-1 in a best of 5 in the finals of an Antec attack, but a lot of those games came down to the wire. One of them was because of one Banewing detonation. Some of them were just very, very close battles. So I definitely think sLivko has what it takes to compete with Korean players. MVP, definitely quite the challenge, but we'll have to see what sLivko can do here. I'm sure he has some unorthodox builds planned to catch his opponent off guard. This is from the quarterfinals of the IEM Season 7 Global Challenge Cologne. Speaking of Intel Extreme Masters, they do have another event, the IEM Global Challenge Guangzhou, coming up, I believe, on the 30th of September. So we do see MVP here going for the CC first, before barracks, only after a supply depot. So he's pretty much in sync, just a few seconds behind sLivko's hatchery. That's a very greedy opener, but I suppose MVP is not expecting any early pressure. Here's the pool after hatch from our Zerg player. He's now bringing his Overlord Scout over. We'll have to see if he brings a drone. He has not done so as of yet, and usually Zerg players tend to scout around this population. We'll have to see if sLivko decides to do so. MVP now grabbing the barracks at his ramp, so nothing too out of the ordinary. He is getting his gas and expanding very fast. I'll have to see if he drops down any other command centers and tries to go for like a double expand with engineering base, an extremely greedy TvZ kind of style. But if he's able to get to a certain time period in the game, he will be at a huge advantage. It really depends on how aggressive sLivko decides to play this. He has to ensure that he sees this natural expansion as soon as possible and reacts accordingly with enough pressure, because if he lets MVP just get a bunker up and stay safely on his 2 bases while sLivko has 3 or something of that sort, it won't be too ideal. Because, well, I mean, I guess it is nice if a Zerg has 1 base up on his opponent, but let's say MVP, in the case that he does go for another expansion, then it is very important that sLivko will have to get sufficient scouting on that and punish MVP for it. A lot of greedy builds rely on just a lack of harassment from your opponent. We do now see MVP getting his second supply depot to finish the wall off. That will prevent any drone scouting of his main, but they will still be able to see this natural expand. Also getting the factory and just sending out a marine. Going to build a reactor here on his barracks. That is likely going to be switched up with the factory for reactored Hellions. And there is the 3rd base on the way from sLivko. So he is immediately macroing up to 3 hatcheries. What does MVP see? Nothing at all, actually. He just saw the creep from the natural, so he was able to guess that his opponent had a second hatchery. He has seen nothing in the 3rd. Let's just check our APM tab really quick. I'm interested to see. Look at MVP's 261 APM. He is moving so very fast in comparison to sLivko's 137. So not too much of a difference just yet, but we have to wait until the game really progresses. sLivko, however, is a strong player. He makes every move count. So you can't really say APM is a measure of skill. It's just a measure of how fast you're able to move about your different buildings and units. Plus, MVP does have the idle SCV here, so that is a negative. He's now moving it over to do some construction, building a second refinery, and adding on 2 more Raxes on top of the original, which is now getting a tech lab. So there are the reactor Hellions, 2 of them already out, with 2 more coming in rapid succession. The Roach War only beginning for sLivko, so he will not be able to react too well to these Hellions in time. I believe he did scout them No, he does not have actually control of the Zalnaga. He likely did, though, with that Ling, and then was able to see them in time and threw down at several spines. That is natural. Spine crawlers take actually 50 seconds to complete, so that's quite a while. This little bump of a spine crawler building is going to still take a little while before it finishes building. And there are 2 more Hellions here at the Zalnaga Tower from MVP. So currently 7 minutes into the game, and our Terran player trying to put on some aggression. He hasn't had too much success. Ever since that Queen range upgrade, you really haven't seen much Hellion success. Successful Hellion harasses. You just see a lot of poking and attempts to deny creeps, but nothing actually too substantial. It's just become so enshrined in the metagame of TvZ that even with patches like the Queen's range increase, it still does not completely affect these build openers, because with a critical mass of Hellions like this against non-upgraded Speedlings, MVP is able to get nice roasts off and just be a general pest to his opponent. Now he does have his combat shields and Stimpack on the way on the back of this, along with just bio forces, so he's actually opting to go, it seems, pure bio. A little bit of a voice crack there against sLivko with just Hellions to support, and he's going to be making a push out now with the Marines and Marauders he does have, likely going to wait for his stim and combat shields. Looked like there was a pause there for a second. So it's often the tougher option for Terran players to choose the bio path in TvZ as a result of Banewing play, but when they do, with enough Hellions to support, it's often, if they're able to micro well with Marauders at the front, then they will be in an advantage, because Terran bio is a lot more mobile than just pure mech or biomech. I would call this biomech, though, with the amount of Hellions that MVP does have. He has a total of 12 Hellions now going to be pushing in here. That Spine Grower stands no chance. There's a scan from MVP, just going to deny all the creep. He's forcing sLivko back. The population's quite close, only 5 supply difference. MVP's got to micro his Hellions well. He does not want to get his units bio forces surrounded by Lings. So now we do have some Roaches and Queens engaging from the high ground. That's actually 5 Queens forcing the Terran player back. He's now going to move over towards the 3rd area. And will he be able to pull this one off? The Hellions engaging Roaches. That's never a good trade. Roaches so very durable, but there are Marauders still left. A lot of them low on health. Seems as though sLivko might be able to push this back. Just so many Queens. All the transfuses able to give them a huge advantage when engaging, especially on creep, since they are much more mobile. sLivko now pumping out some Roaches. My apologies for the sniffing. Just been a little bit sick recently, so I am sorry if that is bothering you. We do not have centrifugal hooks, so there is a Banewing nest somewhere right here at the natural for sLivko. So like I said, using Banewings against that Bioforce, it seems as though MVP is still sticking to his guns. He's getting 2 more Raxes, building a reactor on his factory, so he lifted it off, moved it, and built a starport on the already established reactor to make medevacs. They will be quite critical, as a lot of these units are lower on health. Even only the Automaton 2000 and a couple of Marines are at full health. Wow, it only has 10 health. That's crazy. Nonetheless, sLivko is getting a... Oh, I thought this was going to be a gold expand. I think it is on a different version of the map. Is getting a 4th hatchery. Actually, technically a 5th, because he does have a macro hatch at his natural. But you do understand what I mean. He has 3 Banewings in here with speed shortly finishing. He's getting his Pathogen Glands and Infestors, 2/2 upgrades, while MVP is only now halfway through his 1/1. He's going to scout the 3rd base with 1 Solar Roach. Siege Tech now on the way, actually, from MVP. So he built a reactor on the factory to switch it with a Rax, and now he's going to be going into Siege Tanks against those Roaches. Nice bunker placement here, covering a lot of attack paths, except... Actually, I was going to say except MVP needs vision on these rocks, but he's MVP. Of course he has a Marine there with 4 health and 3 kills. Now, actually, it seems like there will be a double medevac drop here on the way from MVP. It looks like it'll be 2-pronged, 1 from the left side, well, 1 from the top, 1 from the right side, and it seems as though MVP is going for that biomech playstyle of tanks and Marine Marauder. You sometimes see Thors added on just to complement the force, but it does not seem as though our Terran player has any intention of doing so. He's getting his vehicle weapons level 1. All the while, if we cover sLivko, he's now getting his Spire, some Infestors, so he is really broadening his tech to just about everything in the Zerg arsenal. I'm not sure where those medevacs are. There it is here down at the third base. Lings react very, very quickly, though. MVP not going to lose anything, I don't believe. Might have lost one Marine there. And here's his second drop getting covered by roaches. So neither of those harassment attempts were really too successful. There's an overlord under attack. Going to supply block sLivko. So at least a bright move from MVP to take something off of his opponent. He wasn't able to do any economical damage, but why not supply block him while just forcing him to spread out his forces? Now sLivko going to move in here and actually sacrifice his Lings. He's got Banewings following in. If these Lings can survive long enough to get some good Banewing detonations, it looks like sLivko's going to pull back, though. If he was able to trap those Marines enough, if you've ever seen the Destiny Banewing analogy, you'll know exactly what I mean. Just force them to have no means of escape and then just detonate them all with Banewings. So sLivko going straight for the Greater Spire. Gotta stop mixing up my rhymes. As he engages with some Banewings, a couple bad detonations. They're just, I believe they were destroyed by Marines' fire and not actually running into Marines. So 8 Corruptors on the way, likely to be transformed into Broodlords. 2-2 now in production from MVP. He's got 2 more starports being added on. And here's actually 1 tank unsieged and half of MVP's force, which is split up. There are some bungles, not too great, only trapping a couple of Marines. The Infestor's pitching over a few infested Terrans, but it looks like MVP may marginally edge his opponent in this engage. It will be very, very close. 1 tank actually unsieged here. One of them was 17 kills. Quite crazy if you ask me. But as soon as the Greater Spire arrives, that could be game-changing for sLivko. He's got 5 Broodlords morphing in. Already 2 Vikings from MVP. How much has he seen? I do not believe he has any knowledge of this Spire. It might just be predictive play. Where is this Spire? It's right at the natural, and MVP has... Oh, he did have vision on it, so I'm not sure if he either scanned or had a medevac, but he does know that there are imminent Broodlords on the way, so he's just going to pull straight back to the comfort of his Terran settlement, awaiting a number of Vikings. He'll have to get a critical Viking count, though, to actually be able to deal with the Broodlords. He's getting his vehicle weapons level 1, and another command center going to be getting a 4th base, probably going to make that into a planetary fortress. And now he's going to go over and scout the 5th of sLivko. He's actually shortly going to be on even bases with him if he's able to hold it together that long. Or actually, I was saying that if he were to kill the 5th hatch, he has not, so he will be still 1 base down. But he has so many production facilities. That's 6 Raxus, all of them with add-ons save 2, and 2 starports here just producing Vikings without reactors. I'm not sure why MVP isn't getting add-ons. Maybe he just can't afford it with the sheer amount of units he's producing. He's going to expand here right near the watchtower, and I believe that is within the vision of the Xel'Naga. Yes, so sLivko is going to see this fully. And MVP scans right in the center, sees the composition of his opponent's army. How are our army supplies looking? Actually favoring MVP by quite a lot, something like 20 supply. And sLivko does have 6 Broodlords. He's also got 8 Corruptors, 7 Corruptors, my apologies. So it will really come down to the Viking versus Corruptor count. Very nice fungal there on the Marines with no medevacs. And it seems as though one of the Vikings does die. They are split up. Does MVP have enough? sLivko should actually be transfusing his Corruptors. It seems as though sLivko is just going to really dominate his opponent in this engage, however. A lot of the tanks falling to the Broodlords. They are amassing some kills. I saw 1, 4, 3. So MVP just going to try to poke in here with the very long-range Vikings. Corruptors have 6 range to the Vikings. Yes, that is 6. I thought I read an 8. To the Vikings 9. So if he's able to just get a couple good volleys off, that will make a huge difference. MVP, though, with his sheer production reinforcing quite a lot. Melee attacks level 3 from sLivko, in addition to flyer attacks level 1. A handful more of more Corruptors, while MVP is making 11 Marines at a time and 3 Vikings, so he just has to get his Viking count high enough. Though I do think with some money fungals, sLivko could edge his opponent. He just needs to keep enough Corruptors. Some Zerg players tend to overproduce Broodlords, and then they aren't actually able to defend them, even though Broodlords themselves are extremely powerful versus ground. They have that vulnerability to anti-air. There's actually the hatchery dying, the 5th hatch dead as a result of MVP's drop. This medevac only has 31 health. He's going to pull it over into the main, try and pick off some tech structures. There's 2 Banewings. Oh, they just narrowly miss those 6 Marines. So MVP just very, very He's a calculated and precise player. He does not make very many mistakes at all. That is why he's such a strong Terran. He's just extremely intelligent with how he goes about microing and macroing. Mostly, well, you know what I mean. The small micro changes are what make the small micro. The additional effort he puts in over other pros really sets him apart from them. So there's a good fungal on a lot of Vikings. Although the Corruptors are outnumbered with some good fungals, it seems as though sLivko has been able to even the score. Actually, 12 Corruptors to 11 Vikings. It is a very close battle here. Two of them out of the air. Two of the Vikings just sitting back here, and that is critical for MVP. He loses this 4th command center, so his resources are slowly going to dry up. There are the Corruptors chasing down Vikings. Good volley from them there, but I don't know if MVP is going to be able to hold this off. His main is dried up. He has a bunch of idle SCVs. His natural pretty much mined out, and his 3rd getting there. So unless he can just pull out a very nice engagement here with the Vikings, I don't think MVP... I don't like his chances in this game. We do now have Flyer Carapace level 1. These Broodlords just getting increasingly durable, and in addition to the Corruptors, they are armored, biological, and just overall very strong anti-air units. Terran does have his +1 Flyer, +1 air attacks, though the exact same numbers for sLivko on his units. It's ship weapons. I kind of got confused with my names of upgrades. We do now actually have a pretty big marine drop here down at the 3rd base of sLivko. So MVP's just trying to pull the guerrilla warfare style, though his opponent just is dominating the air and even now dominating the ground. Seems as though MVP's siege tanks just will not cut it. He does have a bigger gas bank than his opponent, and he did pick off that 3rd hatchery, but I think sLivko is just going to try to kill him outright with his sheer Broodlord count of a total of... That is 8 Broodlords. I was trying to find them here. There's so many diverse units here from sLivko. He has 8 Infestors, 5 Queens, 16 Corruptors. You guys can read the rest. Weapons level 3 on the way from MVP, and I've seen that for the past like 5 minutes. It takes so agonizingly long to complete. He's still producing a lot of Vikings. He is at a total of just 3 though, even though he has 2 coming out at once. I think his minerals are slowly starting to dry up, though he does have a lot of gas. He's just going to outright GG there without anything of a major engage. A little bit anticlimactic, but I do agree on the fact that he just was not... His potential was... in that game was kind of minimal. He did not have much of a chance to come out on top. He was pulling the guerrilla tactic against sLivko, but his upfront army was 60 supply, smaller than his opponent's. So nonetheless, guys, as I always say nonetheless when I'm concluding a cast. I hope you truly enjoy this, and feel free to comment and like and subscribe. Especially comment. I mean, as much as I do love subscriptions and likes, comments, I like to hear your feedback, any mistakes I'm making, or any good things I'm doing in my cast. Positives are equally welcome, so I will see you guys in game number 2. Of course, sLivko taking the lead 1-0. Os77 signing out.